Okay, we're going to start with density for Module 6. So at this point you should have read at least through page 219, 220 in Module 6, where you've already looked at chemical and physical changes and the kinetic theory of matter. That's a lot of vocabulary, so I don't feel the need to go over that with you. Just make sure that you understand that vocabulary and that you do those. Make flashcards if you need to, take notes, whatever it is, but make sure you understand those concepts in terms of the vocabulary needed and an understanding of the phase changes. So what we're going to start looking at today is density. Hopefully you've been doing density for a while. This should be a review from both your math courses and from physical science. So we're just going to run through a couple practice problems to review density. So remember, density of an object or substance or an element, whatever it is the mass divided by the volume. And normally you're going to have mass in grams and volume in milliliters. Okay, now we know Apologia's favorite thing is to try to change the units up on you. So please make sure when you read the question, number one, look for what they're asking. Do they want you to report the mass in grams, or do they want you to report the mass in kilograms, or the volume in milliliters, or the volume in liters? So pay attention to number one, what they ask you, because you always need to do what the question asks. And then number two, make sure to pay attention to what they're giving you. Okay, if they give you liters, but then they give you the density in milliliters, you're going to need to change those liters to milliliters. So just pay attention, and we'll see that in the example problem we're going to do. So another way to write it, your book uses a different letter. I've always just done D equals M over V, density equals mass over volume. And please remember, this is just an algebra equation, okay, with three variables. So you've got your density, your mass, and your volume. So a question is going to give you two of those variables, and you're going to use algebra to solve for the third variable. Okay, so a question could give you D and V, and you solve for M. A question could give you D and M, you solve for V. Or the question could give you M and V, and you solve for D. Either one of those three you should be able to do relatively easy at this point in your algebra thinking. So, and just a reminder, okay, in chemistry, a centimeter cubed is the same thing as a milliliter. So if you see cm with a cube with a 3, remember that's just the same thing as milliliters. So you can erase it and just put ml. All right, so let's look at two examples. The first one I'm going to look at is from the book. So you're going to want to have your book open to page 219. And we want to pay attention to, number one, what the problem gives us, and then how to solve that problem. So it says a gold miner has just found a nugget of pure gold, and he measures its dimensions and calculates its volume to be 0.125 liters. Okay, so we can think volume is 0.125 liters. So automatically in my head, I see that this is liters, and normally I'm milliliters. So I'm keeping that in mind as I look at the rest of the problem. It says, knowing that the density of gold is 19.3 grams per milliliter. Okay, well, let's label that. Density equals 19.3 grams per mil. All right, so I really encourage you, if it helps you as you read through the problem, make a list of everything the problem's giving you in terms of the numbers and what they match to. So I know the problem gave me the volume, 0.125 liters, and I know the problem gave me the density, 19.3. Now let's focus on what the problem's asking. So the very last statement says calculate the mass of the miner's nugget. Okay, so I am looking for M, mass, and I know D and V. All right, now you should be able to just plug in and solve here, but make sure, check your units. This is grams per milliliter. This is in liters. Okay, so I cannot just multiply those two to get my M. I need to convert my liters to milliliters. So if you remember, there are 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So I'm just going to multiply that by 1,000, which is moving the decimal 3 times. So basically this is 125 milliliters, okay, instead of liters. And so then what we're going to do is plug it into our density formula, D equals mv. So my D is 19.3 equals m over V, which is 125, and hopefully you see with your algebra skills, 125 times 19.3 is going to give me my mass, which is exactly what they do in the book, and they report the mass as 2,412.5 grams, but at this point you always want to take into account sig figs, so look back at my numbers. 125 had 3 sig figs, 19.3 had 3. So I can't have more than 3 in my answer because this is a multiplying question. So I can keep the 2, the 4, and the 1, but all the others need to become zeros. So the answer is 2,410 grams is my answer for that one. Okay, this one might be a little hard to read. I just made it up to give us one more type of problem to practice. It says the density of silver is 10.5 grams per milliliter. What is the volume of a 15-gram bar of silver? Okay, so if you want to make a list of everything the problem's giving you, that can help. So first, we know that density is 10.5 grams per mil. And then it says, what is the volume? So that's what I'm solving for, of a 15-gram bar. Okay, well, that's my mass, is 15 grams. First, I want to check my units. This is grams per mil, and this is grams, so those will work. And my answer will be in milliliters at the end. So I'm going to plug in D equals mV. D is 10.5. M is 15.0. And I don't know V. So I'm going to use algebra to solve for that. If we need a quick review of our algebra, okay, we're going to say we're going to move V. So it's like we multiply both sides by V. Okay, and these V's cancel. And so now I have 10.5 V equals 15.0. So now to get V by itself, I divide by 10.5. All right, let me grab my calculator real fast. Or my phone. However, I don't recommend using your phone in general. I recommend using a real calculator. This one's pretty easy though. Your phone will be able to handle it. So you want to do 15.0 divided by 10.5. And I got 1.428. I'm going to stop there because I want to take into account sig figs. All right, so 10.5 had 3, 15.0 had 3. So that means my answer is only allowed to have 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I can't keep this 8, but because it was an 8, that 2 rounds up to a 3, so 1.43 milliliters is the correct answer. Again, hopefully you're familiar with density problems, and this just gives you a good review to keep working through the chapter. The next 2 videos for Module 6 will cover how to balance equations. I do it a little bit differently than the book, so hopefully it can give you some tips. So once you have gotten through kind of reading how to balance equations, go and watch those 2 videos to help you out.